Hi, so I just dropped my daughter off. She came and stayed with me a few hours after school, but ended up having to go back to her dad's because they have school early tomorrow and they live in his school district and it's literally down the street. But, anyways, just in my defense, because sometimes single moms that don't have full custody of their kids are um, they're frowned upon on occasion. I do see my daughter. I actually very much care what people think in regards to this topic, and I do see my daughter more often than not. So, and her dad and I were on good terms. Nothing crazy. No, no legal battles or custody battles. We just really discuss things, and things are pretty easygoing between the two of us. And anyways, so all that to say, so I dropped her off. And now to discuss my schizophrenia. The voices in my head are saying that they're going to ruin the engine of my vehicle. So I hear them say that, and then I hear the engine start to choke of my vehicle. And like, when you press the gas, like you can tell, like it feels like it's resisting the speed, your increase in your speed. Okay. So anyways, I'm trying to push on the gas, and then I hear it choking, and I can feel it. My foot's pressing on the pedal, and I feel resistance. And my voices just keep saying, I can really decide when your car's going to break down. It can break down as soon as you turn it on. Or on the freeway if I decide, or whatever, right? And so I just found that interesting, and every time I should have actually just placed, I don't know if it would be clear enough to hear, from when it doesn't choke to when it's choking. And honestly, you can look at car models, my specific car model, and I'm sure there are several examples of what a functioning, properly maintained, which mine is. I have all the receipts. I have everything, all regular scheduled maintenance is done, everything. I mean, and I get it top notch. Go to Mercedes. I don't mess around. So with that said, yeah, it has nothing to do with maintenance. And any vehicle that is like mine, I know they don't sound the same. I've been in my mom's car, which is a C300. It's a little bit, the version of her Mercedes is older than mine. However, hers is it's super quiet. Mine is loud. And then when I'm driving and it's choking, it's even louder. And I've taken it to Mercedes so many times and asked them to take a look at it. And every time they're like, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But it's still, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know what it is that they're not seeing, because I hear it and I'm just like, I'm waiting for it to kerplunk right after that deadline of when you can apply for that lemon law. And then it's like, you're basically shit out of luck. But yeah, so my voices keep saying they're gonna ruin or damage the engine to my vehicle. Like, as soon as we're done making installments and the car is fully paid off, this car is gonna kerplunk. That is exactly what the voices in my head keep saying. They said they're going to do that to my car, my son's car, that they're going to give me one hell of a time. They keep telling me they're terrorists. Now, I have schizophrenia. Just in case you're just now seeing me for the first time and you haven't been following my videos, these are the voices in my head. They're telling me they're terrorists. They're telling me there's a sophisticated, classified weapon that has telepathy potentials. And mind reading, mind control, it has that capacity. And that, in fact, I'm being held hostage, and that they want me to, so they'll say things like, if you tell people you're schizophrenic, law enforcement might try to take your kids, or medical professionals will see that you're not healthy enough to manage the care for my kids. So to get me to prevent me from seeking methods of remedy to help me provide for my children. It's just the oddest things, the things they say. I swear, I mean, there is, so here is something that I was thinking about the other day, and I was telling my psychiatrist, and and I think I still need to bring it up to my neurologist. So my voices have these weird predictive, like, prophecies. Like, it's just, they sit there and they'll say such and such is going to happen, and it does. Okay? And it literally does. And it's not it's not a coincidence or something that's like, it's obvious that that's going to happen. On the contrary, there are things that you wouldn't think would happen, and yet they do. And I saw online that there is a MRI that can read thoughts in real time. So I was like, oh my goodness, this happens to me almost like on a daily basis. Excuse me. So why not do a real-time MRI to read my thoughts? Now, it doesn't indicate, the sound of the voices, so that it basically reads the algorithms of the actual way it sounds in my head. But it does read the text, right? So it can decode the algorithms into text, but not sound specific. So that's the only downfall to the MRI. But nonetheless, I'm like, well, that's still a major finding. I would love to do an MRI and present this as something to consider in my medical records as a, as like, how is my mind reading signs? Like, where are the algorithms? How are they producing such calculated predictions? Calculated predictions that are like, that speak into reality, or like I don't know what to say. I lost my train of thought, which is pretty typical. Not my train of thought, but what I was gonna use to explain it. But basically, it just there I go, losing my train of thought. To turn it into real time. Oh, and basically to see how it calculates, and then to in fact see if those predictions come true, which in fact my mind would store as a memory. So even memory retrieval would be possible, I think. Okay, I could be wrong. I may have spoken too soon in regards to that. But nonetheless, I mean, I'll have witnesses to it's like it's like autism, but it's like prophetical. I don't know how to explain it. Really, it's truly bizarre to me. And I just don't speak on it because it sounds like people start to like look at you and they're like, you're on drugs. And I'm like, I've never in my life done drugs. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't entertain drugs. I don't entertain people that do drugs. I personally don't like being in environments where there is alcohol. And I personally, it makes me tired, and it just, for me, it's not really what I would consider a social setting, because I'm far from social. I'm exhausted and I want to sleep. And smoking, I don't like being around smokers. It's bad for my lungs, and I like my clear lungs. And I like maintaining my health, my low blood pressure, not low, but my healthy blood pressure level. So yeah, I'm not on drugs. It's just, it starts to say things like, this is going to happen to you, and it happens. Or, I warned you, I told you your hair. Oh, so here's one. I wish at the time that I was hearing this, that someone else, that I did the MRI. So for example, the voices were like, oh, her hair is going to fall out by the chunks till it's thin as a thread. Okay? And as the time went on, right, they would say, my hair would fall out, and there was a woman's voice that I would hear that would say, exactly, in my head. Exactly, because I would just pull it out and look at it and just I was so confused, what is this? And, you're shedding. It's like you're shedding like a dog. And she'd sit there and say exactly. And I think thinking back on that as a way of saying that word, like me, I'm a dog, and that's how dogs get treated, basically. That was the tone of the voice that I heard in my head. And then sure enough, 2 years later, and I mean, I have little buckets and Ziploc bags, or I did, full of hair. I mean, full of hair. If I showed you pictures, and I swear I wish I had done the MRI at that time, because at that time, my hair was at its fullest. I had never had alopecia or telogen effluvium. My hair was full. It was beautiful. It was long. And no one would have believed me. And to see the MRI, they would have been like, oh, okay, you're just thinking that's not going to happen. But then to see it, and then to actually witness the thinning of my hair, and to see the difference before and after, you would have been shocked. You'd have been like, okay, this is so weird. So that's an example of something that was, and I know I say prophetic. It's just predictions of the future. And there's people lean towards more religious prophecies, and I'm just prophetic as the general meaning. So yeah, that's one example. I have so many, and I'm just like, if I get my hands on, or I managed to find my way to a specialist who can run those MRI tests, and I can basically, if they can hook me up for a week, and just allow the brain for it to read my brain activity and to jot down all that it's picking up, and then to follow up as like a case study, which I'd be glad to do, as there's not enough research on my condition, on schizophrenia or schizoaffective, to do a case study and to follow me to see if anything that was said during those times has actually come into reality. Would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see. My voices are saying, haha, we'll embarrass you so hard. But my hair is like, that is not a joke. That is, I wish, honest to God. Anyways, it's getting late. I just wanted to really touch bases on the fact that my car was choking. And they said they were going to choke my engine until it broke down, and literally right after I finished making installments on the car. And it's a Mercedes. It's a $45,000 car. It is beautiful. I happen to love it. I can drive this car for another 100,000 miles. It will last. It's such a great car. It just needs to be taken care of, and I definitely will do just that. Anyways, have a good night, everyone.